Son exactamente las 6:30 de la tarde, las 12:30 me parece que allá en Inglaterra, donde está nuestra amiga Billy Kidd. Y bueno, hoy tenemos el privilegio de estar con esta maga que de acuerdo a su perfil ha hecho muchas cosas interesantes desde muy joven. Desde la edad de los 11 años ha trabajado ella profesionalmente. Primero como actriz, ha hecho programas de televisión, ha hecho programas de... ha trabajado en el teatro, televisión, cine. Cuando de repente a los 15 años se da, después de 15 años de estar en ese ambiente, se da cuenta que la magia es su pasión y de repente se envuelve y deja todo atrás, quema sus barcos y se dedica a la magia. Any question, Billy? No.
I got it.
Perfect. I was giving you a little resume about your life, what you've done, and it's amazing because you have the resume of maybe a person that now is 200 years old. I don't know how you done all these things, all this work, all over the world, all over the places, plenty of shows. You've been in the festivals, TV shows, working with the BBC, working in Canada, working as well in England, where you are now, giving lecture all over, standing ovation. Billy, you have done the things that maybe the regular magician we will need like 5 lives to get that. So this is why we wonder how you get all these things. But let's begin by the start. Vamos a empezar desde del comienzo, chicos. Pues es un poquito de su vida de esta chica tan interesante. Ella en realidad tiene el currículum de un mago de 200 años y creo que nosotros tenemos varias vidas para lograr hacer lo que esta increíble mujer ha hecho dentro de la magia. Billy, for the people that they don't know you, how would you describe yourself as a magician? Who is Billy Kidd?
Who is Billy Kidd?
Yeah.
Well, I originally started as a street performer, so going out into the streets and performing magic and making people give me their money. So that's how I began my career. And from that, I'm interested in all types of magic. So I learn everything I possibly can about close-up magic, stage, parlor magic. And from the streets, I still perform on the streets as much as I can. But my experience on the streets has taken me to, television shows all over the world. And performing in literally all over the world. But I believe it's because of the training I gave myself by doing street magic. And also, I think a lot of my skills come from my theatrical background because I used to be an actor before I got into magic. So
we read that. Let me translate this to the fellows that they are with us. Bueno, pues ella básicamente empezó con la magia callejera. La magia callejera fue la que le ayudó a adquirir todas las habilidades, aparte del bagaje que ella tenía del teatro. Ella tomó clases de teatro tanto en Canadá como en Inglaterra. Todo eso le fueron dando las herramientas para poder llevar lo que ella fue aprendiendo de la magia callejera para poder hacer magia de salón, para hacer magia de close-up. Lo fue incorporando a diferentes tipos de magia que ha estado presentando y que la llevó a hacer programas de televisión, muchos de ellos en Estados Unidos, muchos de ellos en Canadá y también muchos de ellos en Inglaterra. Amigos, recuerden que pueden ir formulando preguntas. I'm telling all the fellow magicians that they can ask if they have some question. But let's talk about this. You were in the acting lessons. You were doing some theater, but suddenly the magic took you. The magic, you saw the magic. How was this moment? ¿Cómo fue el momento en que la magia te tomó cuando en realidad te dedicabas a la actuación?
It was amazing. I got into magic. Gosh, I was already finished university. I had never seen a magician in my life, and I was working in film and television and professional theater since I was a kid. And then in my early mid-20s, I finished theater school. I'm I've got my acting career was the only job I had. It's all I know. And then I was at a street festival, and there was a magician named Nick Nicholas who was performing the cups and balls, and that was really the first trick I ever saw, and I did not know how it was done. I was also amazed because it was on the street and people gave Nick money after the show.
Where was that? In England?
This was a festival in Canada. It was a street festival in Canada. Nick is from England, but yeah, I saw magic for the first time seeing a magician, first time seeing people give someone else money in a hat. I was mind blown, and almost immediately I knew I had to do that. That was the job. I was in the wrong profession. I had to become a magician somehow. I didn't know how. I'm in my 20s. I've never held a deck of cards in my life before. Wow. But I had to switch very quickly.
Great story. Bueno, pues nos está platicando que cuando terminó la escuela, de hecho la universidad, ella jamás se había visto a un mago o algo relacionado con la magia. Lo que había visto en realidad era muy efímero. Estando en un festival de magia callejera en Canadá, vio a un mago que estaba en la calle haciendo algunos trucos de magia. De repente se fue empezó a pedir dinero, y ella quedó fascinada con esa situación de que alguien estuviera haciendo magia en la calle y que después la gente le estuviera dando dinero a este mago. Fue en ese momento en que ella se sintió enganchada por la magia, y fue cuando dijo: yo tengo que dedicarme a esto. Then what happened? ¿Qué pasó después?
I was very lucky because this magician, Nick, he told me to go find a book called Royal Road to Card Magic, if you know it. And I went into a shop, a secondhand used bookshop. I found the book right away. I was like, this must be a sign. And I took the book and I studied the book for maybe a year. I just read Royal Road to Card Magic and Card College by Roberto Giobbi. And I didn't know I was going to be a magician yet. I just wanted to learn about magic. And then there was one day, it was the saddest day of my life. I call it the most depressing day of my life. I was sat at home studying magic, still being an actor, but studying magic. And I turned off all the lights and I closed all the windows and I locked the door. And the only thing that was on was the television. This is what I remember, just the television. And I sat on the sofa and I just started crying. Like I cried and cried. And in that moment, I was crying because I knew I had to become a magician. That was the first time I said to myself, I'm in the wrong profession. Oh my God, I have to become a magician. And I just cried.
Wow.
The saddest day of my life was the day I knew I had to become a magician.
Usually a magician get excited when discovered the magic, but you were so excited for the magic, but depressed because you find it late. Maybe that was the feeling, right?
Because I found it late, I was really depressed because I spent my entire life devoting myself as an actor. And that's all I've ever wanted to be, was an actor. And I studied so hard and I made my life, I was destined to become I knew always since I was 5 years old. So for magic to just hit me in the face,
wow.
It was right, but I didn't want it to be.
Interesting. I don't want to miss any of the word. Chicos, pues
yes.
Qué maravillosa historia nos está contando Billy. Nos dice que después pudo hablar con este mago que era Nick, un mago de Inglaterra, y le preguntó que cómo podía aprender magia, y este mago le recomendó un libro que pudo encontrar en una librería muy rápido, que se llama Royal Road to Real Magic, el camino real a la magia verdadera, y ahí mismo encontró otros libros, entre ellos algunos de Roberto Giobbi. Comenzó a estudiarlos, comenzó a aprenderlos, y de repente, dice, una tarde yo estaba en mi casa, me acuerdo que apagué las luces y solamente estaba el televisor, y ese para mí fue el momento más deprimente de toda mi vida. Se puso a llorar, se sintió muy mal porque descubrió que ella en realidad lo que quería era hacer magia, y que se había dado cuenta que todo el tiempo que había pasado estudiando en la escuela le había, había sido como una especie de pérdida de tiempo, ¿no? Se deprimió por haber descubierto tarde la magia. Pero bueno, ya en este momento ya tenías mucho trabajo que hacer. Okay, you discovered the magic, and you discovered there is a, you have to recuperate all the time, okay? Suddenly you discover that you have to work on that losing time. What did you did that? ¿Qué hiciste después de que te diste cuenta que tenías que recuperar el tiempo?
So it was a very overnight decision, and I decided if I quit my career as an actor, I could go straight to magic. How do I do that with no skills? So I take maybe 3 tricks out of the card book, Royal Road, and I went out onto the streets because that's how I saw magic. My first magician was a street performer. So I go into the streets and I do card magic for people's money. And I decided to fly to Florida. In Florida, Key West, Florida, you can work every single day. The weather is perfect. And I decide if I go to Florida with no money in my pocket, and the only money I make is what, and I survive off is what goes into my hat from magic. And if I do that, I will survive. And that's the only way. And that's what I did. I went straight to Florida, started on the street there, and I only spent what I made in my hat. And then from there, I moved to England, and I did the same. I moved to England because of the weather. It's perfect.
Really? Okay.
It is in weird ways, yes. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. There's tourists all year round. And I wanted to go somewhere where nobody knew anything about me. So I came to Bath, where I am now. And they're very friendly to street performers here. So I did the same. I come here and I just street perform for money. That's the only thing I did. And that made me learn to be good very quickly because I needed to survive. I needed to eat. So if my magic was really shitty, they don't pay me. Therefore, I don't eat. So on the street, it's the hardest environment, but it makes you good very quickly.
Ok, chicos, bueno, pues en esta parte de la historia nos está platicando cómo ella se movió a Florida, a Key West, después de esta noche y dándose cuenta que sabía solamente algunos trucos y básicamente trucos de cartas. Ella se va a Florida. En Key West es una zona donde hay muchos artistas que trabajan en la calle, hay gente pintando, hay gente, hay malabaristas. Entonces a ella se le ocurrió realmente ponerse a hacer magia con esos trucos que al menos ella sabía, y que le fueron dando pues el dinero, porque ella se fue realmente sin ningún dólar en la bolsa, iba comiendo realmente de todo lo que la gente le iba dando, y así mismo se fue a Inglaterra y aplicó el mismo sistema, empezó a trabajar por dinero igualmente en las calles, y y para ella se le hizo una buena idea porque ella iba a empezar de cero realmente, y pues allá en realidad nadie la conocía. And then what happened? ¿Qué pasó después? Okay, you are in the streets in London doing some tricks, and then
yes,
something happened in your life. Creo que aquí empezó algo interesante para ella.
And so maybe 6 months of street performing, I get an audition for a big advert for O2, which is a big company in the UK, O2, and they're looking for a magician for a television advert. So I call them, I ask if it's okay to come in, they say yes, and I do a piece of magic for them, and we have an interview, and immediately the next day they gave the part to me. So it's a national advert. It paid very, very well. Nobody knows who I am. So all of a sudden I get this really big gig that every magician was dying to get. And they're like, Billy Kid, who is Billy Kid? I came out of nowhere when I got this advert, and everybody was like, oh, we don't know who this is and how did she get the advert? But you have to remember, my background as an actor is a huge advantage, because in an audition situation, this is like my home. I know how to audition for a camera. this is what I'm trained since I was a kid. So I just use my tools from my previous job into magic, which is taking me further. And from getting that advert, immediately after, I auditioned for Discovery Channel and for a new magic science show they were making, and then I got that as well. And a lot of it comes, also from practice. I don't think I was just lucky, because I knew the skills and tools that I had to get those types of jobs. So you do one TV thing, and it leads to another. And if you're easy to work with, people will recommend you for other jobs.
Yeah, right. Bueno, chicos, pues en esta parte de la historia, de repente veo un anuncio donde están solicitando un mago para audicionar en un programa que se llama O2, que es un programa famoso allá. Se presentó, hizo algo de magia, y directamente al otro día le hablan para decirle que ella se había quedado con el casting. La paga era muy buena. En realidad ella dice que tuvo la suerte que cualquiera de nosotros estamos buscando, que un día te vean hacer magia y al otro día te llamen. Pero obviamente todo el bagaje que ella tenía en su carrera en la actuación fue lo que le ayudó a poder desenvolverse frente a las cámaras. Y ella lo que nos está platicando es que cuando la gente se desarrolla muy fácilmente en el ambiente en que la gente lo necesita, es muy fácil. Tan es así que inmediatamente después le llamaron de Discovery Channel también para hacer algunos programas, y ya de ahí pues una lista interminable de muchas actividades en la televisión, básicamente. So you find a diamond immediately, right? Encontraste un diamante inmediatamente, and but then happened that you have a big responsibility, right? Did you feel that you have carrying something really, really heavy? ¿Pensaste después que tenías una gran responsabilidad y que se te venía una responsabilidad muy grande? Did you feel that?
Yes, I did, because I know how new I was into magic. Maybe I was in now 1 or 2 years. I'm still learning, lots of card sleights and sleight of hand. But then I was getting, this lots of recognition, and sometimes too soon. I think sometimes you can have too much focus on you when you're not ready. I'll give an example. The first time I worked at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, I did an audition there. They said, yes, come and work. And I hated it, because I felt they said yes to me too soon. And after I finished my time at the castle, I told myself, I'm never coming back here until 10 years later. So I decided, when I'm better, I'll come back 10 years from now and see if I think I'm better to, I don't like too much attention. But I will say it's not just luck, because I have to work harder than most people, because I never had the time as a kid to do magic in my bedroom and for your family and friends. I went immediately, Red Railroad, went onto the streets and went, this is my job. But another advantage to street performing, I found this out way later in my career, but lots of television producers used to watch my street show way back when I started, who have hired me now for other TV projects. So you never know who is going to be in your audience. So it's always good. It's to practice and always be performing as much as you can.
Wow. Bueno, pues miren, pues nos está platicando que sí fue una gran responsabilidad y sobre todo verse como alguien nuevo dentro del ambiente mágico. Dice que cuando alguien es nuevo y realmente no se sabe quién es, la gente como que mira mucho con lupa el tipo de trabajo que ella realiza. Le pasó, por ejemplo, en el Magic Castle, cuando estuvo en el Castillo de la Magia trabajando, y cuando terminó su temporada, se juró que no iba a regresar ahí hasta que no fuera mejor de lo que había presentado. Y ella se dijo que hasta después de 10 años se iba a volver a presentar en el Castillo de la Magia, cuando ya tuviera más dominio de lo que es su actuación y su magia. También una de las cosas que le ayudaron a ella sobre todo fue que actuando en la calle realmente no sabes quién quién puede estar. Y de hecho algunos productores que la vieron en televisión empezaron a buscar quién era ella y vieron sus actuaciones que hacía o que estaban ahí haciendo sus shows en la calle. Y eso les motivó a estos productores a llamarla para un nuevo concepto que también tenían y que estaba basado en la magia callejera, ¿no? Ok. We have a pool of questions. We want to give okay, but no, this is really, really interesting. Estamos aquí en la parte interesante. There is a magician, Gazoo. He played a really, really important role in your magic development. What's the story with Gazoo? ¿Qué pasó con Gazoo? Es un mago inglés callejero que tuvo que ver mucho con ella.
Well, the magician I first saw on the street, Nick Nicholas, he told me to go get the Royal Road to Card Magic book. And he also told me if I want to learn how to street perform, go find a magician named Gazoo. I had no idea who Gazoo was. I looked on the internet and I found out he was doing a workshop in America. So I fly to America and I learned the cups and balls from Gazoo. First time learning cups and balls. And he was the one who told me if I was really serious that I should come to Florida and perform in Florida and try to street perform there. So that's how I ended up in Florida, was through his advice. So he taught me how to do the cups and balls, and he taught me how to gather a crowd and street perform and all the techniques you need to gather a crowd, keep a crowd, and make them pay you at the end. So that was my education with Gazoo.
Ok, una persona fundamental también en el desarrollo de su magia fue el mago Gazoo, perdón, lo dije mal, había leído Gazoo. Gazoo, él fue el que le enseñó a ella el truco del cup and balls, la copa y las bolas, y fue también quien le dio la idea de que se fuera a los Estados Unidos, a Florida, y tratar de hacer su show ahí. Y bueno, I want to make a quick break. If anybody has any comment or any question, vamos a hacer rápidamente una pausa para ver si alguien tiene alguna pregunta o algún comentario. So beautiful. Okay, you are breaking. So okay, Billy, I've seen your linking rings routine. I can separate the comedy and the magic you do it. I love your style, Gazoo. Your Gazoo style. Okay.
Oh, linking rings, that's out there.
Do you really think you have Gazoo style?
No.
No, ella dice que no tiene el estilo de Gazoo.
Not anymore. Maybe at the beginning when I was learning, but no.
Sí, pero ahorita ya no. Ya no. Now, why you use? We have a question here. Why you use Billy Kid as a name? You want to remember the Old West bad guy or ¿por qué utilizaste el nombre de Billy Kid?
Yeah, when I was in Florida, I was street performing under my legal name, and a juggler, a street performer, another performer told me I should not use my legal name. I need a stage name. I was like, why? He's like, well, you're working in America illegally, right? I was like, well, yeah. I was like, oh, good point. So it was another performer, I can't remember who said your name should be Billy Kid. I was like, all right, okay. And I just went with it. And it's been my name ever since. So no rhyme or reason, but it works to my advantage because when you're traveling all over the world and sometimes you might not have the right credentials, if they search my legal name somewhere, there's no correlation or very little they could find with magic and what I do. So that has been an advantage, the best advice I was given, and I've never looked back.
Ok, ella nos dice que estaba actuando en Florida y utilizaba su nombre en miniatura, su diminutivo de su nombre, cuando se le acercó un malabarista y fue quien le sugirió, dice, no debes de usar tu tu verdadero nombre porque estás trabajando aquí de ilegal, ¿no? Entonces, suponiendo que ella no estaba legalmente trabajando en Estados Unidos, y ella le dijo, ah, ok, y él le dijo, deberías usar un nombre como Billy Kid. Y le pareció bien porque dice que además este nombre no tiene nada que ver con su nombre real y pues le da mucho para despegarse de su personaje con lo que es ella. ¿Ok? ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Uh, Now we already know the books. We already know the people that help you. When you realize that you have to do something by your own, something that has not in magic, because what I feel is that all you play, it's a mix with the street magic, the circus, the it's a mix of everything, and we know that or I feel that this is because your own idea about the magic. Is that true? You really want to create this concept?
Um, it's true by default, if that makes sense. Because I've not, growing up, I never saw lots of magic or magicians. I always watched plays and movies and theater and dance and opera. And with the first time I went to a magic club or a magic convention, the first time I went into the magic community as an outsider, because I did not know much about magic still, you know, I'm still learning, but I've watched many professional performers in other mediums. And a big lesson I learned at the beginning when I watched magicians performing, I felt really bad because watching most magicians, it felt like I was watching a very amateur actor on stage, if that makes sense. I felt like I was watching these people who are very skilled with their hands, but everything else was like a child. And I did not like that because I was so used to watching other performing arts where they study everything about everything. Whereas in magic, we only study about this. We don't study about everything. We should. We're told we should study other, you know, performance styles, take an acting class and all this, but I think that's wrong. It's more like you, as much as you study how to do a second deal, you have to study how you move as a person, who you are, what your idiosyncrasies are. And my approach to magic, I think, became different because I never liked what I saw. So I will take, if I do a classic routine, for an example, card from mouth, you know, Mercury fold. Many magicians do that. And it's one of the first tricks I learned. But I decided, well, there's no reason why you put the card in your mouth. And the only reason every magician will say, oh, because it's sleight of tongue. It's the same all the time. So I thought, well, what if I can't use my hands? So I get on the trapeze, right? The circus trapeze. And now I can't hold the cards because I have to hold on for my life. I can't put the cards in my pocket because if I'm upside down, they fall out. So the only place they can go is in my mouth. And now I've made a small routine that's everyone does into something different. And that's the first routine I ever came up with. And it's gotten me so much work to this day. In fact, last week, Italy wants me to fly to Italy for a TV show to do my trapeze routine. And I've approached every routine and every piece of magic like that. I go, if every magician is doing it like this, if everyone does a thumb tie and they go, oh, my thumbs are purple, I'm not allowed to say that. So I change everything until I come up with my own.
Wow, that's great. Bueno, pues nos está platicando que ya cuando entró al mundo de la magia y cuando fue perdón, la pregunta particular fue que si ella había a propósito incorporado en su magia todo lo que había visto en las calles. En las calles ves malabaristas, merolicos, ves actos de circo, muchos performance. Entonces la pregunta fue si ella deliberadamente había incorporado todo lo que había visto en la calle a su show de magia. Y ella lo que me dice es que no realmente, ¿no? Todo sucedió por default, porque lo que en realidad pasó fue que ella fue a un congreso de magia y cuando se topó con magos profesionales, le dio mucha tristeza ver lo buenos que son en la magia, pero los malos que son para expresarse y que lo malos que son para de alguna manera actuar. Ella, recordemos que estudió desde muy niña, desde los 5 años, estudió actuación y eso le ha dado eh, le he dado la oportunidad de poder desarrollar la magia, pero a través de lo que ella ha visto. Ella en realidad se desarrolló desde muy pequeña, viendo obras de teatro, viendo eh, trabajando en la televisión, actuando en diferentes medios, y ha visto eh, conciertos, nos estaba platicando muchas obras de teatro, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, cuando ve el trabajo de los magos, a ella se le hacía como que era la habilidad de un adulto, pero la actitud de un niño. Le faltaba muchísima, muchísima actitud. Entonces, ella, por ejemplo, presenta un truco de magia, el clásico que se hace con la Mercury Fall, que es la carta que va en la boca, y dice que el speech que todos los magos dicen es exactamente lo mismo, ¿no? Que todos toman el paquete de cartas y se lo meten a la boca, todos llegan, se lo meten a la boca. Entonces ella pensó, bueno, ¿cómo podríamos hacerlo si no pudiera meter las manos, por ejemplo? Si tuviera yo que estar agarrada de algo. Entonces habría una justificación lógica para tenerlo en la boca. O lo mismo cuando se atan los pulgares, ¿no? Que venimos todos a chistes recurrentes de que, ya se me pusieron morados los dedos. Dice, todos los magos hacen las mismas líneas con los mismos trucos. Entonces, yo bueno, ella lo primero que hizo fue tratar de olvidarse de esos clichés, ¿no? Que tenemos ya los magos. Entonces fue en realidad pues que no lo buscó, pero se dio cuenta de eso. Billy,
Yes.
the always, the eternal question, la eterna pregunta es, ¿qué tan importante es para un mago ser actor, estudiar actuación o involucrarse en eso? You already gave me the answer, but all the magicians, we have the eternal question. It is how important is to learn acting for the magician. For you, you are telling us this is the base. Now, an adult magician should take acting lessons. You think it could change the way of view of the magician?
Absolutely. And not just one acting class or one workshop. I would go to 1 or 2 different acting classes every single week for the rest of your life. It's so important. And it's hard to describe. It's like if you try to describe to a muggle, a layperson, how difficult it is to learn how to do a second deal. All the hours you learn to do a second deal is the same amount of hours or more that actors study about themselves for their entire lives. It's the same technique, but about their bodies.
Okay.
It's so important because a common thing I find that's really bad with why magicians on stage feel like an amateur actor, feels like I'm watching a high school kid do a play and you go, oh, that's cute, is, for one, there is a disconnect between voice and body, and then sleights. There's 3 things happening. What's coming out of your mouth, your patter? Do I believe what you're saying? Does this feel cheesy? Which is a stereotype the public has, but we have ourselves to blame because we don't study, and we only study technique. We hardly study anything else. So a lot of magic looks really bad or all the same. So acting will teach you, how do you connect your voice to your body? And if this is ready, then you can be natural on stage. But it has to start there before you even pick up a deck of cards. And I truly believe that's the only reason I've gotten far in my magic career quicker, but it's because I spent 15, 20 years studying acting, dance, music, anything I could about myself. So I already know so much about me before I got into magic. So now I can make my magic my own, even though technically I'm still learning. I'm still reading all these bloody books during lockdown.
Good, great, great,
It's
great.
very important. Yeah.
Pues,
And I still study. I still go to like dance classes, so my body is always in tune. So I can react and improvise in a moment on stage. You have to be in tune with your entire body.
wow, great. Bueno, le preguntamos, bueno, siempre se hace una discusión en torno a que si es importante para un mago tomar clases de actuación, ser actor, y bueno, ella misma nos ha estado contestando la pregunta y nos dice que definitivamente uno como mago tiene que tomar clases de actuación, pero no nada más una clase, no nada más un taller, tiene que estar constantemente metido en lo que es las clases, mínimo 2 veces por semana durante el resto de nuestra vida. Para ella es muy importante en la magia 3 cosas, que son conectar la voz con el cuerpo y con la magia. Normalmente pues los magos conectamos solamente con la magia, ¿no? Y nos olvidamos de conectar la voz y sobre todo de cómo lo decimos. Y para ella, ella sabe que es un arduo trabajo, tanto el trabajar 8 o 9 horas ensayando, practicando la magia. Para ella tiene la misma importancia trabajar el cuerpo, trabajar la voz, trabajar la actuación. Para ella es muy importante y definitivamente lo reconoce porque eso le facilita mucho improvisar. Ella toma clases de danza, ella, bueno, antes de abrir nos decía que hace muchísimo ejercicio todos los días, porque además eso le hace improvisar, ¿no? En el momento, ella tiene la fuerza física para improvisar cualquier situación. ¿Cuáles de los trabajos que tú has hecho para ti han sido los que más te han gustado, los más importantes? Which one of the works you already done is the most important or the one that they like you the best? Your best creation. ¿Cuál ha sido tu mejor creación?
What I believe is my best creation?
Yes.
Cool. Oh, that's a tough one because every piece of magic I do I create like a piece, like that's that piece and that's that piece. It's not just one show. I would have to say, because I have new favorites now. My newest stuff is my new favorite, but I would have to say one of my favorite ones is my monkey routine, which sounds very strange, but it's essentially a tossed out deck routine, but I bring a monkey on stage. But it's not just a monkey doing a tossed out deck routine. It's a very emotional piece where the audience starts to hate me. And it's designed that way, where they actually believe this monkey is real and they hate me because I'm a dick to a monkey. And it's all, I guess you could say it's a piece of theater, but again, it was one of the first routines I ever came up with, my trapeze routine and my monkey routine. And to this day, the monkey routine is part of a bigger show of mine. And now it became a routine, and now it's a full kind of story in a way. But it's the audience reaction to the monkey when I first did it was so big and powerful. I knew I had to investigate it further. And I have been doing that more so in the last 2 years. I've been playing around more with this whole weird monkey thing that happens. And it sounds absurd, and it's not for kids, but it's emotional. I have people, like, sometimes they're crying in the audience because of this monkey, which is a man dressed up as a monkey. It's not even real. It's nothing. I don't pretend it's real. But I would say my monkey routine is probably one of my favorites. Yeah.
Bueno, le preguntamos cuál ha sido ahorita la máxima creación que ella ha hecho, o al menos la que le ha gustado más. Y pues nos dice que por ahí tiene una rutina con un mono, el cual es una persona disfrazada, pero es más como una obra de teatro donde suceden cosas de magia. Y le gusta porque las reacciones de la gente van hasta las lágrimas, y a ella hasta la llegan a odiar porque se porta medio ruda, ¿no? con el mono. Entonces es algo que empezó pequeño, pero que ya se ha sido grande, que ya se está haciendo casi toda una producción, el simple concepto de este mono. Está muy divertido, lo vi, y sí, no se ve como que muy real, ¿no? O sea, pero bueno, we agree, estamos de acuerdo que mover emociones es muy importante, pero crear incomodidad en la gente, tú que lo has sentido también es importante. O sea, los magos también, o los que actuamos, qué tan bueno es incomodar a la gente. With this idea of the monkey, you make the people feel a little bit bad, right? The people cry, they got angry with you. Do you think is in the magic show it is good to we make people feel like this, not all the time happy? It is good to press those buttons. Is one of
I yes, when magicians always say, "Oh, we do magic to put smile on people's faces," I go, "Yeah, that's true," but I also think we do magic for ourselves. It makes us feel good. It's not about just the audience. We have an ego, and we go and we love what we do, and we want to show off. It's not. I think it's sometimes a bunch of bullshit when magicians say that, but uh, I think yeah, the more we can play with people's emotions and suspend their disbelief, not just visually, but on a deeper level emotionally. Because I think magic, it's such a unique art form that not a lot of people can do. And we are breaking boundaries within a person's own consciousness that I think we can, there's different levels to it, you know. Um, Another one of my new favorite routines is I do a diminishing card routine. And without giving too much away, but a big staple, a very important part of my diminishing card routine is I end up eating a piece of chicken in the middle of my diminishing cards. And it all makes sense to me, and I believe it makes sense to the audience, but I'm taking them on another level, another emotional journey, not just through the visuals of magic, but with the entire picture of what's going on. I think there's more we can say with magic than we do because we're lazy.
Ok. Bueno, pues le preguntamos si era importante para ella también apretar ciertos botoncitos como incomodar al público, ¿no? Con ciertas cosas. Y ella dice que definitivamente sí, que el mago que hace que todo sea felicidad, que todo sea buena onda, para ella es un pendejo, porque no, porque está dando pues, está alimentando solamente su ego y está demostrando cosas y no se está comprometiendo con el público, ¿no? Para que el público experimente cosas nuevas. Por ejemplo, tiene una rutina donde hace la carta diminutiva, pero de repente en el momento aparece un pedazo de pollo, ¿no? Entonces así como que eso realmente impacta a la gente que lo está viendo y le gusta llevarlas por otras dimensiones. Vamos a checar si tenemos algunos mensajes. We want to check if we have more messages. Vamos a ver si o preguntas que le quieran hacer Billy. Ok, dice... Perdón, do you do what in Mexico is very common to play for kids in a private party? You do that as well? People can't hear
No,
you? No.
I think maybe I've done one kid show at a school once, but I haven't.
Solamente hizo una en una escuela y nada más. No, realmente ella cuando está en casa lo que hace es dar shows en un teatro ahí de Londres, me parece que es en Bath, en donde ella está viviendo y en realidad ella se la pasa haciendo. I'm telling that you actually you do tours all around the world. You've been in different countries. And when you are based in England, in Bath, you give a show in a theater, right?
Yes, I have my own small parlor theater, so I fit 40 people inside a room together, and we do shows every Friday and every Saturday, every week of the year. So even if I'm not in England, I then hire my other magicians to perform the show for me. So the show is always happening for the tourists. And it's my place where I get to try out all my new material. It's the perfect situation, and I run it. So it's called Crowd Keepers Magic Theater.
Club Keepers Magic Theater. Bueno, ella tiene su propio teatro, es un teatro pequeño para 40 personas, entonces cuando no está en gira, ella está actuando ahí. Y cuando hay gira, deja algún mago haciendo el show. Es un teatro en donde todo el tiempo hay un espectáculo de magia. Let me see. Okay, Un Mago con Alegría nos dice, if you want, you can hire me as a monkey for your show. Okay, you have an extra monkey in Mexico.
Good.
Okay, I will go to Canada, Quebec. I want to present my magic at the streets. Could you tell me a tip if I don't speak French and my English is not so good? Okay, nos preguntan qué tip le puede dar para alguien que quiere ir a Canadá, por ejemplo, y a la parte franco-canadiense. ¿Qué puede hacer él si no habla francés y su inglés es muy malo para hacer magia callejera? How to solve this problem? You are in a foreign country that they don't speak your language and you want to do street magic.
Okay, very good question. Well, like we were chatting earlier, I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately, but I have performed in Spain quite often, and Italy and China and many places where I don't speak the language. So what I do is I always tell the public where I'm from so they know why I don't speak the language, but I will always try. I will learn hello and thank you at least. Learning how to count, just 1, 2, 3 helps. Or if you know how to, it depends on your show, if you know how to say cards or the suits, spades, clubs, diamonds, hearts. If you can learn little words and make an effort, I think people in other countries, they appreciate that. And then what happens is they want to help you. They want to go, here's how you say this word, or here's this word for that. And people will be very generous, but I wouldn't be shy about it. I'd be very honest to your audience and tell them you're trying to learn their language as you do your show. And it's never been a problem for me. And because of that, I can work in many different countries because I'm adaptable and I will learn as many words as possible, even if it's just for the show. So it's important to try.
Muy bien, muy bien. Very good.
Muy caliente.
Ok, bueno, pues nos está diciendo que pues te esfuerces por aprender aunque sea lo más que puedas del lenguaje. Ella dice que ella ha viajado por bastantes partes del mundo y a pesar de que no habla el español, nos estaba comentando que tuvo que hacer un show en España en español, pero al menos trata de aprender cosas básicas, ¿no? Sobre todo la magia, al menos los números, ¿no? Al menos a contar 1, 2, 3, cómo se dice carta, los palos de la baraja, cómo se dicen, en fin, cosas que ella puede utilizar. Y bueno, obviamente pues todos lo sabemos, ¿no? Tenemos que hacer cosas musicales, cosas visuales, pero que en ese rubro, cuando ella se acerca a la gente le ayuda porque se da cuenta, lo primero que les dice es de dónde es, les dice su nombre, de dónde es, y entonces la gente entiende por qué ella no habla el idioma. Y cuando te muestras honesto con la gente te ayuda y la gente te acepta, ¿no? Te acepta todavía un poco más. En realidad ella se ha presentado en muchos lugares del mundo y nunca ha tenido ese problema, siempre se ha sentido cómoda. Así es que amigos, si vas para allá, tú ve, disfruta, trabaja y lleva la magia de México en alto. ¿Cuáles son tus planes después de esta pandemia? After this locking we are suffering, what are your plans? What will you like to do? ¿Qué te gustaría hacer después de que esto pase?
Well, I am planning at the moment for when we are not in lockdown. My place is a mess right now because I'm working on new routines and acts that will take me a long time because they're complicated. But I'm working on new routines for when we are back to performing like normal for an audience who sat there close together, where we can use volunteers, because I don't want to be taking steps backwards by only learning how to do Zoom shows, because that's not what I think magic is for. So I'm taking advantage of the time off to work on routines and material that will take me months to perfect before I even get to the stage. So it's a long time, and I hope to be performing as soon as possible. I believe that my first shows will be outside street performing again, because outside is safer at the moment, and the government in the UK says we can perform outside for small groups. So just if you have another advantage of being a street performer, it's during Corona times.
Yes, exactly. Bueno, pues ella le preguntamos cuáles son sus planes para cuando pase esta contingencia. Nos ha dicho que ella en realidad se está preparando, que ella no le gustan o no cree en los shows a través de Zoom, a través de las redes, y que ella se está preparando para presentarse nuevamente en cuanto el gobierno de Inglaterra les diga que ya pueden salir, aunque sea en grupos pequeños y bueno, todos a salvo de esta situación. Pues actuar lo antes posible, ¿no? Ante el público real, que en realidad es lo que a ella le gusta. Ella espera que esto pues en realidad pase pronto y se vuelva a la normalidad. Ella no quiere regresarse a lo que ya ha hecho y no quiere adaptarse. Cree que no, el camino correcto para presentar la magia no es a través de las redes, sino como debe ser, ¿no? En vivo y en directo. Ok, ¿alguna otra pregunta? Que tengamos por aquí. ¿Cómo vamos? Bien. Vamos bien, ¿verdad? Tenemos 45 minutos vamos, qué bien. Ok. Dice... Sí. Okay, which one was your favorite magic trick that you saw? That you have seen in your whole career. What
My favorite.
And why? ¿Cuál
Okay.
es lo que tú has visto y por qué? ¿Qué es lo que más? Or which one is the most that has surprised as a magician that you've seen? Como maga, ¿cuál es el truco que más te ha gustado y que te ha llamado la atención?
Recently, I was lucky enough to see, are you familiar with the magician Steve Valentine?
¿Sí?
He's a magician and actor, and I saw his one-man show. And he did a very old trick, and I believe he is the only one in the world, possibly, doing this routine, which I'd never seen before, but it's old. It's in Greater Magic. It's in a bunch of books, but it was written up wrong. The instructions were wrong on purpose. Oh. And you know Steve Valentine, he's very good at doing lots of research on every trick he performs. He'll research everything, study everything, and then try and make it his own, whether it's technique or presentation. So the trick I saw him do was the chocolate box trick. And I remember watching this routine and I was fooled by it. And at the same time, it was such a nice piece of magic to see a great performer who's also an actor perform, because it was a performer's piece. I watched this routine going, I would love to do it, because I know not a lot of magicians have the skills as a performer to pull it off and get away with it. And it's a very old routine, but because no one really knew how it was done, and Steve's done all the work. In fact, I don't know if anyone here is on it, but Steve has, it's kind of like Netflix, but for magicians. It's called Magic on the Go. Do you know about Magic on the Go?
Yep, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, because he has so much material if you do a yearly subscription, it's so cheap. It's like maybe $10 a month, and there's so much information that he puts on there, like video of every routine. It's amazing. Anyhow, but the chocolate box trick, I saw it, I was fooled by it. It's essentially a coin that goes into a chocolate box that an audience member is holding, and they shake the box, they hear the coin, the spectator, and then the coin jumps into a dollar bill on the other side of the stage with the second volunteer, and it kind of goes back and forth, but the handling of it is beautiful. The volunteer is doing everything, and they're not a magician, and that's what fooled me. I was like, I don't understand, and there's nothing gimmicked about it, and it fooled me really bad. But it was also a really nice piece of theater, and to see a professional do it. So most recently, I would say that's something that's kind of stuck with me at the moment. But it changes. The more magic you see, it changes.
Sounds great routine. Le preguntamos qué de la magia es lo que últimamente le ha sorprendido o le ha sorprendido durante toda su vida, todo lo que ha visto de magia. Y nos dice que en particular hay un mago, Steve Valentine, que por ahí tiene un ¿qué? Es también mago y es actor. Parece que hay una serie en Netflix donde por ahí aparece. Ella nos cuenta que le vio hacer un truco que se llama la caja de chocolates, donde una moneda viaja de la caja a otra caja que tiene un espectador y luego a un billete, en donde realmente no hay gimmicks, pero hay mucha teatralidad y que además es un truco muy viejo, ¿no? Que está en muchos libros de magia y que pues son de esos trucos que van pasando desapercibidos por los magos, se van quedando en los libros, pero que en realidad haber visto eso le engañó totalmente, no tuvo idea porque no hay gimmicks, no, y aparentemente la gente hace toda la magia. Eh, ya no hay más. Chicos, ¿alguna pregunta por ahí? ¿Alguien que tenga algún comentario? Somebody that has any comment for Billy about the eyes? You can tell about the beautiful eyes she has. Pueden decirle de los hermosos ojos.
It's too nice in Mexico.
Lily, well,
Hi.
I want to do a magic for you. Can I?
Yes.
Yes. But remember, my English is not so good. Okay?
It's okay.
Well, my one is not so good. Sorry.
Very good.
Maravilloso el juego de magia. Muchísimas gracias.
A magician with joy.
A magician with joy.
Sorry.
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 ¿De dónde nos estás? ¿De la Ciudad de México?
Sí, de la Ciudad de México, Mexico City.
Mexico City. Limonki también está por acá. Saludos, Limonki, también de la Ciudad de México. Okay, we are waiting for most questions, but okay. One of the last questions for you, Billy, because we know it's too late in England. Sabemos que es muy tarde. Una de las últimas preguntas. ¿Qué es lo que te desagrada de ser maga? Que en realidad a ti no te guste. What do you didn't like of being a magician? Is there something that you don't like it of being a magician?
Is there something I don't like? I like it all, but I think if I were to pick one thing I don't like, it's the fact that it'll never be perfect. You have to always keep practicing, creating, and performing. And that can be hard and frustrating, and I don't like that part, but at the same time, I like it at the same time because it's good to go through the trenches until you get to a point or you find a routine or you perfect a sleight where you think you can now perform it. So it's a love-hate relationship. It's time consuming, but during lockdown, I think it's the best thing I can think of is being a magician, because we're so used to being alone and doing our own thing, and we can get by magic. So yeah.
Well, okay, nice. Le preguntamos qué es lo que no le gusta de ser magia. Le dice que tal vez el hecho de que debemos de ser perfectos en todo y que eso conlleva a mucha práctica y a mucha perfección, y cuando aún entendemos que algo ya está perfecto, debemos de seguir todavía. Siempre salen cosas que lo hacen muy perfecto. Es algo que no le gusta, pero que al mismo tiempo le gusta, y que en este tiempo de encierro pues le ha ayudado a ir sobrellevando la cuarentena, ¿no? Y el tiempo de encierro. ¿Qué es lo que harías si esto no llegara a pasar? La pandemia, en su caso, que actúa mucho para la gente. Ajá. ¿Cómo ve el futuro de la magia? I have another question. When you realize that somebody wants to make you an interview, cuando sabes que alguien te va a hacer una entrevista, ¿de qué quieres hablar? I think inside you want to talk something. You want to tell something to the people. What is that message that you are expecting we ask you? ¿Qué, qué mensaje le quieres dar a las personas? Or a technique, or have you discovered about the magic or the idea? Because everybody has something deep inside that you want to tell maybe another magician or maybe to the audience. I see the magic like this, and this is what I think. What is what Billy Kid thinks about magic should be, or the magic that define yourself? ¿Cómo es la magia que define a Billy Kid y cómo ella la ha interpretado?
You said in a way my answer in your question. You said what would I as Billy Kid want to how does magic defining myself? And I think that's what it is. I think magic is a definition of me. It's a part of us, which is why I think it's wrong when too many magicians for too long of a time imitate other magicians too much, because that's not who you are, and that's why magic ends up being the same, or the presentations are the same. So magic to me is an expression of myself, but just through a tiny vehicle, which is a deck of cards or a coin, which is why I like to make magic a small piece of magic bigger than what it is, because that's who I am. And I think that's what we should all be kind of thinking with our magic is, how does the ambitious card define you as a person? And if it's you just copying Daryl's ambitious card over and over again, we're just seeing a poor man's copy of Daryl's ambitious card, not you. So that's what I try to do with magic, is an expression of myself, or however I'm feeling, or if I have a message I want to try and put out, I do it through magic. And only I can do that for me, not Daryl or Michael Amor, right? I can learn from them, but it only goes so far. So the rest is on me.
Advantage being a female magician?
Is it an advantage?
Yes.
No, I don't think it's an advantage, but I also don't think it is a disadvantage. I don't think it matters. I didn't know being a female magician was very rare, because I got into magic and I had no idea. I was like, I want to be a magician. I didn't go, oh no, there's not a lot of women. I don't care. I think if you're passionate enough, I know lots of women in magic complain about the men, or complain that there's not a lot of magic for women. I think that's all bullshit, because if you're passionate enough about magic or what you do, none of that even matters. Like, I'm blinded to the fact that there's not a lot of female magicians, or I'm one of few. It doesn't matter to me at all, because that's not what magic's about.
Great. Le hicimos dos preguntas. La primera es, ¿qué es lo que ella la define como ¿qué interpretación le da ella a la magia? Esa fue la pregunta. Lo que ella nos dice es que precisamente eso, ¿no? El que la gente diga Billy Kid es un personaje que no se parece a ninguno. Ella lo que ha hecho es crear su propio estilo de magia sin copiar a cientos de magos que durante años han hecho lo mismo y de la misma manera. Le preguntamos también si era alguna ventaja o desventaja el ser una mujer maga, y ella dice que en realidad no. Lo único que define a la gente buena o mala es su pasión, que en realidad ella no ha conocido a muchas mujeres magas, y que a la gente se le hace extraño. Bueno, en realidad el público no conoce muchas mujeres magas, y que cuando le preguntan a lo que se dedica y dice que es maga, pues a la gente se le hace muy, muy extraño. Que sí he escuchado a muchas compañeras quejarse de que la desigualdad que hay entre mujeres y hombres, pero para ella definitivamente no es ninguna desventaja. Lo único que hay que tener es pasión en lo que uno hace y seguir su ritmo. Ok, we have 1 hour. Tenemos ya una hora. One more question, una pregunta más, and we're done. Thank you so much in advance. Muchísimas gracias por todo esto. Y ¿qué te gustaría?
Se ha tenido certificado por la magia.
What, did you sacrifice something for the magic? Okay, your career, your acting career.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. But something else that you have sacrificed, algo que hayas sacrificado aparte de tu carrera de actoral.
Uh, I think every magician or performer has sacrificed the chance to have security and a normality to their lives. But again, going back to having passion for something, nothing beats your passion. So there's tons of sacrifices, but at the end of the day, it's worth it.
Ok, le preguntamos si ha sacrificado algo para en la magia y dice, bueno, pues lo que todos los magos sacrificamos, ¿no? La seguridad, un empleo, seguro social, ¿no? Todas esas cosas, pero pues que en realidad pues ha sido un deleite. Vamos a ver, estamos viendo.
Es que no podía.
No
Nos había comentado que su magia no la puede presentar aquí, por eso no hace los Zoom, porque su magia es diferente.
Sí, exacto.
I'm telling to the guys, you don't do magic for Zoom or because your magic is different to all.
I hope so.
Okay.
Una anécdota.
You want to tell any funny thing that happens during the show? Some funny stuff that you had?
Oh yeah. There was I love when magic goes wrong because you learn so much from mistakes.
Yes.
And the worst one that ever happened to me, I was supposed to do a show at 2 a.m. at Glastonbury Music and Arts Festival in England. It's a very big arts festival, Glastonbury, every June. And they have a tent, it's outdoors, and there's a show that starts at midnight till 4 a.m. And I had to do a show at 2 a.m, 10 minutes on stage. So my travels, I was traveling for months before I got to the festival. So I decided to do sympathetic cards, sympathetic cards with the cards and the glasses. And I send my stuff to a friend. And as soon as I get off the plane, I go into my tent, I get dressed, and I figure I'll do sympathetic cards because it's 2 a.m. I don't need a volunteer. Everyone will be drunk and on drugs, and it's self-contained, and it'll be fine. And I'm very confident because I plan 3 months in advance because I'm traveling all over the world. And I go to backstage and I get the deck of cards out, and it's in the box, it's in the plastic. So I'm confident. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I go out on stage and I explain to the audience, this is a brand new deck. I take it out of the plastic, I take the cards out, I see the jokers. I go, we got 2 jokers, and I take the jokers off, and immediately I know my last show, I didn't put the cards back in order. They're mixed up from my last show 3 months ago.
Wow.
And if you know sympathetic cards, there's nothing I can do because it's not a normal deck. I can't even do a normal card trick because I don't know which ones are double fit. Oh, it's a mess. And I go to the host of the show. I go, this is not in order. How strange. I'm going to go back. And I didn't bring anything extra with me. So I go and find a new deck of cards, and I just leave the stage, and I'm backstage in the dark because we're in a field with no electricity. And I'm in the dark trying to put the cards in order, and it feels like it takes 5 minutes. Normally it takes me seconds, but it felt so long. And I hear the host on stage does not know what's going on, and he just goes, she's using an ordinary deck of playing cards. I'm like, oh fuck. And in my head, it's so bad right now. I think I either leave and the next act goes on, or I go back on stage and I finish it. And I decide to go back on stage with egg on my face and finish this card trick because it was so bad, but I decided to just face it. And that's what I did. It was my worst mess up ever. But I learned you can be too prepared. I thought I prepared 3 months ago, but always check your props right before you go on stage, because I will never make that mistake again, not with that trick.
Wow.
It was pretty bad, but funny.
Nos estaba preguntando nos estaba platicando una anécdota que pasó en el prestigioso festival de Glastonbury, que normalmente se hace en junio. Es un festival de música, de exhibición, danza, en donde había un acto que empezaba a las 12 de la noche y terminaba a las 4 de la mañana, y a las 2 de la mañana ella tenía una intervención de 10 minutos. Entonces, viajó al lugar, se fue a la tienda que le dieron como camerino. Es un lugar amplio en un campo, y que ella estaba pensando presentar las sympathetic cards, ¿no? Que son las cartas empáticas, donde al final quedan las que elige los espectadores, van siendo las mismas. Entonces, cuando se acercó a la gente, bueno, ya cuando le tocó el número, dice: aquí tengo un paquete normal de cartas, está cerrado. Ella no había revisado que el juego estuviera bien, y todo el tiempo vio que estaba el paquete cerrado. Entonces, cuando las abre, dice: sentí un Joker, y luego el otro Joker, y pácatelas, se acordó que no había ordenado nuevamente el paquete en su en su actuación anterior. Entonces dice que de repente sonó muy raro, pero le dijo al que estaba ahí dirigiendo el show: ¿sabes qué? Espérame tantito, ahorita regreso. Se fue a la tienda, oscuro en medio, y trataba de ordenarlas, que este orden normalmente le lleva como 20 segundos hacerlo, pero ya llevaba 5 minutos, porque con los nervios, con la presión, y tenía dos opciones: o salir y arriesgarse y terminarlo, o mejor cancelar, y que decidió salir y regresar nuevamente a enfrentarse a la gente. Y eso le enseñó, obviamente, que uno nunca está suficientemente preparado, ¿no? Todo el tiempo debemos de estar súper seguros, porque, como decía un buen amigo mío, hacer magia es como aventarse en paracaídas: o se abre y todo sale bien, o te lleva al carajo, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, chicos, pues si están de acuerdo, nos vamos despidiendo. Billy Kid, we really admire your job. Realmente admiramos mucho tu trabajo. We want to thank a lot. We hope you have enjoyed this interview. Esperemos que hayas disfrutado de esta entrevista. To all the fellow magicians in Mexico and Guatemala. Luis Carias, sabemos que estás por acá, hermano, un abrazote. Thank for your time. We hope you have enjoyed, and we will keep in touch with you to follow your career and cheering you. Anything you decide to do, there is a background of Mexican magician, hoping everything you do it well, and with all the success that you deserve. Esperamos que todo lo que hagas te vaya bien. Tenés aquí un séquito de magos mexicanos que te vamos a echar porras y te vamos a apoyar en todo lo que hagas.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it so much, and I can't wait till we go back to normal and perform, and hopefully I can come out to Mexico, and you guys can come over here, and I love to meet everybody in person, hopefully soon.
Will be great. Hopefully soon, or hopefully soon, we don't know. And just for the last, if you don't mind, what's the best advice you can give, or that you receive from a magician? The best advice.
Best advice, I would say, is to perform as much as you can. So many magicians I meet practice and can do amazing things, and then I learned that they've never performed that amazing thing they can do for a real human being, and I don't understand that. And magic is meant to be performed live. Obviously, right now it's difficult, but perform as much as you can, because you will learn about the magic, you learn about your audience, and more importantly, you will learn about yourself.
Wow, thank you so much. Bueno, la última pregunta fue: ¿cuál es el mejor consejo que le han dado o que nos daría? Y ellas dicen que traten de actuar lo más que se pueda con gente viva, o sea, que no nada más se la pasen practicando. Traten de estar mostrando la magia al público, ¿no? Ella se ha encontrado con mucha gente que practica bastante, pero que pues en realidad se enfrenta poco con la gente, dice. Entonces no se cierra el círculo, el ciclo, ¿no? Hay que actuar mucho. Billy, thank you so much, and remember, you have a bunch of friends here, and when you come into Mexico, Mexico City, or Cancun, or Guatemala, you have a good friend that they will be love to make you visit, really really happy. Muchísimas gracias. Ya muchos magos aquí.
And you have one monkey to Mexico.
I need a monkey in every country, so you're it.
Okay, you have a monkey.
Yeah.
Monkey business. Okay, perfect. Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Hasta la vista, amiga.
Cheers, guys. Bye.